and welcome back to Pokemon Team Creation Series. Today's Pokemon Team Creation Series suggestion comes to us from Shadows82. Ask the question, what is Gizmo's Pokemon team from Gremlins? I'll be honest, it's not that I never watched Gremlins, but I think I watched it so long ago that I don't remember Gremlins very well. I remember bits and pieces of it here and there. Gizmo was adorable. I remember Stripe. I remember Mohawk from the sequel. I remember the dog being hung. I remember the Kristen telling the story about how she found out there was Santa. I remember all of that. But if you're actually going to ask me, what do you remember if you liked Gremlins or not? I can't tell you if I liked Gremlins. It's been so long. It's something I should probably rewatch at some point, Gremlins. But I do remember Gizmo. Gizmo was the Mogwai gifted to the main character. He is an adorable little guy. He with a fondness of TV and movies. Apparently, as they say in sort of the behind the scenes featurettes, or I can't remember, maybe it was like the notes for the movie or some sort of supplementary product, that the Mogwais are basically genetically engineered from an alien race to be like the perfect embodiment of good, but there was a flaw in their design, and only 1 in 10,000 of them actually were good. The rest were not as well behaved as we saw. But the question quickly becomes, what the hell kind of team do you do for Gizmo? So a couple ideas came to mind. I had to push it a little bit with some of them, but let's get down to it. So when I think about a mon that is a mon that specifically involves food, eating, and having a personality change with that, well, there was only one that came to mind with that, and that's Morpeko. Morpeko, depending on how you pronounce the name. I think it's Morpeko. Morpeko is literally, I think it was, what's his its moniker? The hungry Pokemon? The hangry Pokemon? Point being, it's the literal definition of hangry. Its form, its body, everything changes when it gets too hungry. And then it has the form change into its, I don't believe they call it a hangry form, but it is, I'm trying to find it here in the deck so I can get the right, let's see here, come on, where is it? Where is that there it is, Morpeko, or Morpeko. So it's designated the two-sided Pokemon. Now this obviously comes from its angry form and its hangry form. And it is an electric dark type, and as far as I know, it's the only electric dark type. I'm pretty sure anyway, it's the only electric dark type. We need more of those. We need a lot more of those, like, very unique typings that don't exist except for, like, on one mon. Fire, water, grass, fire, electric dark, electric fighting. We need more of those types of combination. Electric ice. But, yeah, I mean, when you think about it, he starts out as this cute, adorable little guy. And, if he gets too hungry, he changes form. Now, this isn't a one-to-one, obviously, of Gizmo. There is, in most of these teams, when we make them for a character, it's very hard to find a one-to-one comparison. But in terms of a mon that would be a really good representation of transforming into a gremlin when he eats past a certain point, or in this case, when he gets too hungry, Morpeko is the perfect example of that. Another one that I liked for the team that immediately came to mind when I thought of the team is Stuffle. Stuffle being the little stuffed animal Pokemon. It makes for a perfect gift for people. A lot of people like to carry them around, and it's almost like how women carry chihuahuas in their bag kind of thing. Or at least that trope of them doing that. So this made sense. And Gizmo looks, actually, I mean, similarly wise, he's kind of, if you were to combine Morpeko and Stuffle, that would not be very far off from the design of Gizmo. You got the ears, you got the big round face, you even got kind of the paws a little bit, but you got the upright position. Again, a little bit of the ears. The coloration, I think, works a little bit better with... Actually, the coloration works better with Stuffle than Morpeko, but the patterning works better with Morpeko. So if you were to theoretically fuse them, and if you want to ever do Pokemon fusions, so obviously you could find people who do that, combine those two, you'd pretty much make kind of a Gizmo. But I like this. Plus, Stuffle is more powerful than it looks, and Gizmo is a lot more resourceful and capable than he looks. Because I found out that they were created from a experiment on an alien species, I knew I wanted some sort of alien Pokemon, and I went with the very basic Cleffa for this. It's a baby-looking mon well, not even looking. It is a baby Mon. It's got the big ears again, but it is an extraterrestrial Pokemon. And as we found out, the Mogwai are extraterrestrial to a certain degree. And I think this is just a nice little combo of the two of them all together merging. So these last three, this is where I had to kind of push things a little bit on the envelope. There is some logic, though, to it. One of them being that Gizmo is actually highly intelligent, capable of actually creating things to a certain degree, piloting, driving, beating actual combat, using tools, and being very inventive. So I knew I needed a Mon that also represented that. A Mon that is highly intelligent, capable of possibly using tools. And that came down to an old favorite of mine, Oranguru. And I say old favorite because when I played, of the two of them, I played Moon, so this is the Mon I had available in my game. I think he might have been on my first team when I played that game, too. But, yeah, Oranguru. And I don't have much beyond that. He's a ape. He's a mammalian-looking Mon, and there is Gizmo is as well, so that helps. But really, I went with the idea of intelligence and the ability to use tools for that. And it's one of the only Mon that really seems to do that, at least to the extent that Gizmo could, or at least to the extent that it could represent Gizmo. The next one on the list goes more to the friendly aspect, but with the ability to really defend themselves. And that comes down to Drampa. This one, again, a favorite of mine. It was the Mon that was available in my Moon. But I also actually just like it better than Turtonator. It's got a nice Falcor vibe to it. I like him. He's very, you want to just give him a hug. But he's also not weak, either. But Drampa is known for being extremely playful, loving to play with kids, but also being very protective of them. And that makes sense for Gizmo. Gizmo actually likes people and enjoys playing with them and, spending time with people. But at the same time, and especially in the second one, they make a point and say they pushed him too far. He will defend people. So Drampa makes a lot of sense. But now the big one. Now what would arguably be his strongest Mon on the team. And you're asking, what's the strongest Mon on the team besides a Drampa? That's like a 500 some odd base stat total. Did you put a legendary or something? What kind of legendary could work with Gizmo? When I say that out loud, in theory, maybe... Could any work with Gizmo? Did I think about that? Or mythic or legendary? I'll be honest. Thinking off the top of my head of all of them, no, I don't think any of them work. But we have Palafin. Now, why? Now you're maybe asking, what the hell are you talking about here, Palafin? Now, I actually was a bit... this came from the idea that Finizen are very friendly, loving Pokemon. They love to spend time with people. So immediately I'm like, okay, that does work with Gizmo. But then I remembered Palafin's Palafins only turn into this form when no one's looking when you switch them out, like how a superhero changes in their superhero identity. But when I thought about it, Palafin still has the same overall personality as a Finizen, just with the added superhero tropes onto it. Yeah, the idea that, he still loves to spend time with people, loves to protect people, and go into battle if he has to. And this, I think, really comes to a head in the second movie, what I remember and what I read looking up Gizmo in here, where they pushed him too far. He's out to take them all down. And because he takes ideas from TV, doing the whole Rambo thing, it could make sense that he would have a Pokemon that took tropes from movies, like superhero movies, like Superman. So I could actually see that. And normally his Palafin probably would not be in its superhero form. He probably doesn't use it for combat very much. It's just, most of these guys are his friends. But hypothetically, if Gizmo could be a bit more humanoid, anthropomorphic, and have a Pokemon team, I could see him having a Palafin on there. So, as always, the question quickly becomes, how balanced is this team? And surprisingly, it's not badly balanced at all. It does have one, let's call it, issue. Issue is good. It's not a bad way to put it. And that, honestly, you have a team that is fully diverse in its typings, save for the fact that half the team is normal type. Because you have Stuffle, which is a normal fighting. You have Oranguru, which is a normal psychic, and then you have Drampa, which is a normal dragon. And luckily, we know normal is immune to ghost, so the ghost weakness for psychic is mitigated. Unfortunately, normal is also weak to fighting, if I'm not mistaken, and I think to rock. The rock doesn't really matter, But the fighting type weakness is somewhat of an issue for Stuffle, especially being an unevolved Pokemon. Beyond that, though, you have a dark electric, you have a fairy, you have a water, and then you have all of these. So the immediate question just starting comes to a head. Is this team like really all that strong, or is it weak? And I mean, you have, like I said, 3 Mon that are immune to Ghost. You have 1 Mon that is immune to Dragon types. You have 1 Mon that's immune to Psychic types with more Pico. And then you have a lot of resistances. A lot of this team is pretty resistant. Pretty resistant to a lot of typings, including ground, ground normal types in our own right. Rock, it seems, doesn't really have that much of an issue with it. Neither with ground. Like one of them's got a weakness to ground, but then you got Palafin to just counteract that. Honestly, I can't see any major weakness with the team. 2 of them do have a weakness to bug types with Oranguru and Morpeko, and none of them have really any strength against bug types. But 2/3 of a team being weak, I don't consider that to be a big weakness for the team. Honestly, there's really not much of an issue on this team when I really look at it. I think the biggest issue you could make for types that are strong against this team are maybe some ground, because fighting, if I remember correctly, is also weak to ground, and some bug. Other than that, though, there's enough coverage here that this team actually isn't that bad. The only real issue is 2 of the team members aren't fully evolved. If you had a fully evolved Clefable and a Beware on the team, this really would not be a bad team at all. But this is just my opinion. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you folks later.